Hello and welcome, Echoes, to Empyrean Wilds, episode 7. We are already 7 episodes in. Holy fuck. This is a Cypher system-based TTRPG. I am Evie, the Disaster GM. My pronouns are she, they, or any, and I am the game runner for this fine if disastrous group. We are unfortunately missing Matt today, as there were some things that he had to handle in real life, away from the make-believe that is gaming. But we will hopefully have him with us next time. Let's go ahead and go around to introduce ourselves, starting with Amanda.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda, aka Panda Cabra, and I will be playing Varen Lek, she, her, the weird adept who dances with dark matter and siphons power.
Yeah. Alina.
Hey everybody, I'm Alina, they, them, and I will be playing Kale, also they, them, who is an empathic explorer who helps their friends and has the soul of a dragon.
Righty. And last but not least, Joel.
Hello, I'm playing Val Mistforge. I'm Joel. I have used all the pronouns, any of them is fine. And I'm playing Val Mistforge, who's an appealing speaker who rises from the depths and shepherds spirits. Whatever that second thing is, who knows?
Yeah, we'll, I guess, start seeing that at some point. I don't know, maybe you'll see Sybil. Who knows where she went?
Kale is going to have a breakdown.
Yeah. Anyway, this particular game runs every other week on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. I am getting my games mixed up, barring potential interruptions due to scheduling or circumstance. As we simulcast, don't forget to follow if you're watching on Twitch. Join the realm if you are watching on Moonbeam. We are in both the Tabletop Guild, which is the public realm, and also in the private realm, Monty Cook Games, the Anywhere Door. If you are watching this after the fact on YouTube, subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so that you can know whenever this or any of our other games are posted or go live. You may also notice from our overlay that we are raising money for the Trans Women of Color Collective. TWOCC has a mission to uplift the narratives, leadership, and lived experiences of trans and gender nonconforming people of color while building towards the collective liberation of all oppressed people. Juneteenth is coming up, and it is Pride Month, so support however you can, and check out their site, spread the word if you are able. AEA and its affiliates receive no portions of the funds donated. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and roll into focusing on today's session. As a content warning, we at the Archives would like to remind you that this is an adult content rated game with depictions of violence, possible mentions of loss or trauma, and or similar content. We do our best not to cross each other's lines, but for those watching, you have been warned. The group has been sailing for a little while after the events that happened in the last campaign in Empyrean Rising and the kind of saving, liberation, whatever, of Icenbridge and the restructuring of the council. They had encountered and adopted Varen somewhere along the way, who had been searching for answers regarding some of the oddities that surround her. And at the start of Empyrean Wilds also ran into Fang in a little oceanside town where they had stopped off to get some supplies and possibly pick up any new jobs. But circumstances depicted otherwise, and without being able to pick anything up there, they had to make a run for it due to some sort of conflict that happened in town, and just brought Fang along with them. Him claiming that Sybil is his new mentor in some fashion. While on the boat, Kale and Sybil went off to have a little bit of a private discussion, leaving Val to deal with both Varen and Fang and the papers that Varen had found on one of the gambling house gang members, maybe? We're not really sure. That depicted the group as potentially wanted, dead or alive, by one of the city-states of the peninsula. And while this planning and private chat was going on, weird sensations and a weird vibe was felt somewhere to the south and east of where they were. Following this strange sensation, other circumstances also included in the seeking of this information. A new artifact was found at the bottom of the water. They landed in Polyarna. A general sense was made to find a more concrete direction to look in, and a very, very high off of fermented, vinegar-soaked mushrooms bow said, "Oh, yeah, there's this creepy forest down there that I think is a cannibal and eats people. I don't know. You go there and you die. No one comes back from there." So, in seeking this information about this strange forest, Sybil was just like, well, it borders this area. Let's go see if we can find a bookshop or a library or something to do some research and find out what the fuck is happening. And on the way, you guys happened to pass a somewhat abandoned street with a strange area of jungle greenery misplaced halfway down it. Someone wanted to touch the strange thing, and that resulted in combat against sapient plants, which you guys did survive. But in investigating it, you discovered that it was a circle, possibly dome, approximately 20 feet across, that had carved its way into a building, however it happened to appear there. And while looking around in the street itself, Sybil picked something up, and as she was walking towards you guys, disappeared in a flash of light, leaving behind another circle of some kind. This time, instead of being foresty jungle greenery, it seems to be some sort of marsh material. So still wilderness, still something from the wild, but not the same wild. Directly in front of you, this has just happened, and Fang thought that he had recognized the type of material it was, but has gone since a little quiet, startled at the whole circumstance of now you see or now you don't.
I think we ended last session with Kale screaming, "Sybil!"
I believe
And
so.
we'll pick it right up there with Kale screaming, "Sybil!" and then rushing forwards to where she disappeared.
Okay. It is a strange sensation as you are running, because it goes from level, hard, cobbled street to your feet sinking into mud and muck and water. And initially there is like a slant going down a slope in this muddy gook that you have stepped into, and it gets deeper as you try to wade your way over there. Give me just a general might check to try and get to the center, which is where Sybil was.
I'm good at this. I only rolled a 9 though, so maybe not so good.
So it is like up to your chin as you're trying to push through the mud and algae and plant matter that has displaced this area of the street.
Yeah. I think once it gets up to like past their chest,
Mm-hmm.
Kale's going to shake their head and then start steaming and turn into their dragon form, which isn't a lot taller, but at least they can like rear up on their hind legs.
Okay.
And they like the two of you have seen that Kale is in a complete frenzy. Like they plunged into this marsh without any care or thought for themselves, and they are now in dragon form. They're like clawing through the muck and the marsh and plunging their head underwater and trying to dig for something.
Mm-hmm.
They had been similarly digging in the jungle area, but they seem to be looking for everyone. No, that they found that seed that caused this all to happen. That Sybil had picked up, and now it's gone.
So, actually, go ahead and give me an awareness check, because
Yeah.
she was a good portion down the street to see what she might have picked up.
Yeah. I have perception
Mm-hmm.
that I'm trained in, and I rolled a 17.
17? It was small. It could have been a seed. It could have been a rock. It was
Okay.
like small enough to fit in a pocket. So she just had it in one hand, and I think she might have said something about finding a seed, and you're, observant enough to make that connection of some kind.
Then that's what Kale's searching for in the muck and the mire, hoping that there's some way to, I don't know, find another seed and bring Sybil back.
Okay.
I think the longer they're searching and thrashing around, the more that hope is going to run out,
Yeah.
and the
And
more frantic they'll get.
to attempt to dig, like, if you are not digging at the edges of this circle, you will have to be, like, jumping up, taking a breath, and going back down, because
Yeah.
it's a good 10 feet of water, mud, silt, and algae.
Yeah, so you guys see a dragon just thrashing around in the swamp, like throwing up mud and bubbles and algae every single time. Their mane like will slap around as they shake their head, and then they'll dive right back under, and continue just throwing mess everywhere.
Are you guys reacting in any fashion?
I think I'm still sick from the poison.
You
Yeah.
are still considered poisoned, so it's not necessarily that you are throwing up, but you can feel that your body is lethargic.
Yeah, I think I'm still too out of it. From going from the high of the mushrooms into the lows of the poison, it's just barely here, I think.
We're
Okay.
doing great.
Okay. Varen?
I feel like I'm watching Kale freak out, and I just kind of go, I call, Kale, is everything okay? What are you looking for? Can I help?
No, everything is not okay.
You would have
Sybil
seen
is
Sybil
gone.
disappear. Yeah, you would have seen Sybil disappear.
To be fair, like, doesn't Sybil disappear like a lot, and that like her whole thing?
Not like this. And Kale just has like a feral look on their face. Like they've got like gunk dripping down their face. Their teeth are bared as they whip their head towards you. And then they go immediately back to digging. And every once in a while they'll call out like, Sybil! Sybil!
There's no response, and you're not finding, like, you're finding tangled roots, but you're not finding seeds.
No.
Hmm.
And importantly, no sign of Sybil, too. She's not like in the mire.
Damn. Hmm.
I feel like Varen will then just kind of come to like the edge and just kind of hesitantly start like digging through the mud as well, because she's not gonna know what to look for either.
No.
But
So, I guess both of you go ahead and give me, like, a searching or investigation type check. This would be intellect based.
Ooh, 18.
18.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
13.
13. Kale, you are finding very, very gross water and mud. You do find a like weird, maybe amphibian, you're not sure, like in the mud that you're digging through that goes flying, and you only notice it as it goes flying with that 13. Yeah. So you have displaced something that came through with this.
There goes Sybil.
Varen, as you're like checking through the muck, you find a perfect curve of the cobblestones and the sand packed underneath, and then the packed clay and dirt before it gets too far for you to reach, with you still kind of perched on the cobble around this. Sort of like someone took an ice cream scoop and then placed this
so
here.
So strange.
Sphere.
Just like a perfect little sphere. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Kale is probably digging in the center of that sphere. Like that's what they're looking for, because they had investigated the jungle and found similarly that it was like a sphere scooped out of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And in their panicked brain, if there is still a seed involved at all, it will be at the center of whatever this effect is.
Okay. So I'm not going to have you search for the seed because the seed is not present.
No, I didn't think so.
Yeah, so you would probably, after however long you think it takes Kale to come back to themselves in some fashion, and it might take a while for you to discover there's no like big bulky seed. There are a couple more of those, like, something resembling carnivorous plants, like pitcher plants and, like, little fly traps and stuff, but they're small. They're the size that you should find in nature instead of what you guys just fought. There's the occasional little slithery thing that probably lives and is native to wherever this marshland is from. There's a lot of grasses, there's a lot of mud, well, not grasses, but like reeds and mud and muck, and you do find a variety of other small amphibians that had been like kind of hidden in the mud, but no seed.
Yeah. They'll do this for several minutes. Like, they are a very strong creature, especially in this form. And they've got a lot of panicked energy behind them. So they're like digging and thrashing and splashing water and mud everywhere. They're completely covered in algae and swamp plants. And finally, after several minutes, they'll come up above the water on their haunches. Their sides are heaving as they're like trying to struggle for breath because they've been underwater for a lot of this too.
Yep.
And they'll drag themselves out of the deeper areas of the swamp and then just collapse on their side like a limp noodle. Yeah. And you'll start to hear this like very low, almost musical, like the low bubbling of a teapot just before it starts to whistle. And then you realize, I think, Varen, after a minute or two, that that's actually Kale like keening or crying, just low in their throat.
Poor Kale.
Kale, honey, I don't know how to help you right now, but it'll be okay, I think.
Sybil, she gets into trouble, you know, especially without anyone there. She'll just have to touch the most dangerous thing she can find. And we're out there to protect her. I'm not their protector. Like, dig their head further into the dirt. Still completely limp noodle on the side of the, like half in the swamp, half in the cobblestones.
This is an incredibly low chance, but is there any way that I can figure out if I've been anywhere near whatever this new terrain is?
Yeah, go ahead and roll intellect, and this is like history/luck.
I put 3 levels of effort into this.
Okay.
You fucking kidding me? I want to spend one of my ciphers to reroll on that one.
Okay, do you have ciphers left? Have you used a lot of
Yeah,
them?
I used my first one.
Okay.
I still have one left. Okay, so 13.
So you would, with that, recognize the type of environment that it is. So you would be able to recognize that this is kind of like boggy marshland. It is very much wetland. It's not quite swamp because swamp does have trees. So there's large root systems and trees. Specifically, with the 13, there's no telling where that swampland or marshland might be from because that's not really your forte. You just recognize the environment. There are a couple places along the coast that do have swamps and marshes and bogs and various other wetlands. You know that some are down towards the south in like that kind of forbidden area. You know that there's a lot of swamp and bog and marshland up in Canagal, about like north of where Islandus is. You also know that there is a couple of kind of swampy, marshy conditions on some of the island territories that are near the peninsula. And with the amount of sailing you've done, you've probably sailed a bit on the other side of the peninsula. There's definitely some on the other side too. So it's not like it's super unique. It's just that it's not super common either.
Yeah, it's different. I know enough that I could narrow it down, but by the time we get there, Sybil could be on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's basically there is wetland all over the world. This could potentially be from any of the ones that you know the vague idea of locations of, or it could be from the entire opposite side of the world.
Yeah. It's clearly a different spot than the other sphere that was transported in.
Yes. But you do probably know enough that the difference between jungle and marshland can be all of like 100 miles or so as you get further up out of like the waterline. So it's still possible that they both came from the same approximate territory. Where that territory is, you don't know, and if they came from that same territory, you don't know.
Yeah. Bloody hell. Well, I'm sure she'll figure out her way back sometime soon.
Kale actually raises their head and like glares at Ball. Like, Kinder hasn't. Jax hasn't. We don't even know where half of our friends are and we keep losing them.
We do know that Jax is doing Jack's things based on his
He's probably fine. He'll get into trouble, but he's strong enough to deal with it.
Right.
We still don't know where anyone else is, and this keeps happening.
It's true. Also, Sepal can just like not be touched if she wants to. So I feel like that. And she, despite my grievances, she is arguably our smartest friend. So if she applies that intellect, I'm sure she'll be fine.
Hale just stares flatly at you like, no one knows better than Ball how quickly Sybil can get into trouble.
Right. I guess that if is doing a lot of heavy lifting right now.
Kale growls under their throat again, and then will sort of like tiredly heave themselves to their feet. And
still covered in muck. You are disgusting.
Oh, no, still covered in mud. And then will actually start almost like a dog, like sniffing around the street, still dripping filth everywhere. With that, again, a little bit of that anxious energy as they're just pacing around trying to find any other seeds or magic rocks or anything that looks like what Sybil was holding. And their tails lashing behind them.
Give me a search check.
All right. Identifying?
Yeah, kind of.
19.
19, minor effect. So it takes a little bit because thorny seeds had also been launched at you guys repeatedly. So there are seeds. And you don't exactly know what Sybil's looked like when she picked it up. But a little further down, you're like, not really sniffing like a dog, but trying to track where you had seen her moving around. And you do see something on the ground that might be a small stone or a seed pit or fruit pit of some kind. It's, there. Do you touch it?
No. Very much not. But Kale will stop and like put their head really close to the ground and examine it side to side. And then, Ball, Baron, anyone, bring a cloth, bring a bag.
I approach.
Now.
Faster.
So
Baron is already like on the edge, so I feel like she just jumps right in to the muck and takes like she has like
through the muck to Kale or just into the muck.
Because
Kale isn't in the muck anymore.
You can avoid this one.
Yeah,
I'm just on the street.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure I'm panicking.
You've got
reverse that.
Yeah, it's 20 feet wide, so it takes up the majority of the street. You do kind of have to edge around it, but you'd be able to avoid it with some like careful foot placement.
Okay. I feel like Varen has like a little like waist pouch, and she undoes it and has like a little handkerchief or something in it.
Okay. So you decide to touch it with the handkerchief.
Yes.
Okay. And Bal, are you also approaching with Corey?
Yes.
Okay.
We are approaching also.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to be very clear. This is happening as I am getting close.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just in case.
So you go to pick it up with the handkerchief, and you look at it, and you've got it in the handkerchief.
Okay, now what is it?
It looks like a strangely gnarled...
Sybil had one of these in her hands before she disappeared.
And looking at it closely, it looks like the pit of a stone fruit. So it's similar to a peach pit in like that kind of wrinkled manner that they have, like that pitted wrinkled manner that they get, but it doesn't have that same shape. It's a little bit more oblong without like the point at the end, and is an odd mottled gray, which is why it can be easily mistaken for a stone. But yeah, it's just sitting there.
Carefully now, put it into the pouch. We should get it into a jar or some other thing where it can't easily be activated.
I undo the pouch on my belt and stick it in there, and then I'm just kind of like holding it out. And I'm just like, okay. So what should we do? Should we just do we head back to the ship? Like, what's the plan?
We will need to study this thing. I don't know. I believe that these are some sort of magical artifact, obviously, that creates spheres or bring them from elsewhere. The fact that there's both a jungle and a swamp here, I think pieces of this place have now gone elsewhere.
Do you think
And if that's the case, then...
Like... Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, I said if that's the case, then we need to find where that swamp is from, because that's where Sybil is.
Could be anywhere. Also, do you think these might be baby versions of that thing in Sybil's the portals?
Maybe. They
Or
are
like...
from plant related, and I don't know. They didn't... The roots that I was digging through didn't seem like the roots that I have at my circle. But maybe it's related. I don't know. Godsfall, I don't know.
Yeah. The device did leave behind actual teleportation arrays. So it did leave behind transportation arrays when you like saw it activated. So even with the one that had like spit you out in the center of the grove, that had left behind an array.
Right.
Also, they were active. You could reactivate the array and go back. Whereas I think that was part of what Kale was searching for, was like, is there a portal at the bottom of this swamp or in the middle that I could use to teleport to wherever Sybil is? Nope, nothing. It's just
not that
it's
you could
there
find.
now.
Yeah, that you could find.
Can I listen to the water of this
Okay,
thing?
yes you can.
Okay.
So go ahead and give me an awareness check. Observation, perception. Yes.
I'm going to put 3 levels of effort into this again.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. 19.
19. So it takes you a minute to filter through the other melodies that are around you, because it's still drizzling rain around you. It's not like raining heavily, but it's still drizzling rain around you, and you are very close to the coast. You're a couple blocks away from the coast. So that is a very loud and present water that is nearby, that was just constantly at the edge of your peripheral. Focusing in with a 19, it doesn't feel the same murky that you would assign to sickness or corruption. It's muddy and slow in a way that you assume is because of what type of water it is. But it doesn't have a general air of like darkness and danger to it. It's just very slow and deep and not necessarily bright or happy, but still just mellow and deep and slow, with the occasional like off note of the fact that it is now especially very filled and very disturbed with the muck and mud of what Kale just did.
Okay, I think to do this, Val just kind of crouches, maybe puts her hand uh just at the very top of the water, just enough to break the surface, sort of. Um, and it just thoughtfully goes, at least it doesn't feel like there's danger on the other side.
Kale perks up and will come over. What do you feel?
The water's sleepy, like it doesn't move very much, but it doesn't really have any particular note of danger or corruption to it. I think it's just swamp water.
No, that's a good idea. And Kale is going to start looking around and like identifying plants so that they could maybe find this place again if they happen to
Okay.
identify the swamp.
Roll.
Plant.
Yeah,
I am skilled in plants.
Yeah, roll for your kind of botany check.
Yeah. Oh, nat 20.
Nat 20, and you are already
Oh.
skilled in it. You're already trained in it.
Yep.
You are pretty sure that you would be able to identify the specific strains of these plants if you were to see them again.
Nice.
So you should note that if you have anywhere
Yep.
that you're taking notes.
Gonna do that.
But yeah, so you're pretty sure that you would be able to identify these specific strains of plants because there
Nice.
are common plant types across a variety of biomes, but specific variants are going to be to specific areas. You can tell that these are not corrupted the way that the plants that you had been facing during the combat were. So you are fairly certain that they do not come from the same area, unlike the previous checks. It's just what you would, prior to having torn apart the area, have considered a previously healthy marsh.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Well, it had a dragon rampage through it.
Yeah. Yeah, like now it's torn up and very disturbed, but wherever it was a fairly healthy environment for what it is.
These captions, I think they're worse today.
Probably.
Alina said, toilet had a dragon round page through it.
Amazing.
Love that.
That's horrible. That's horrible. Thank you so much, you crappy ass captions.
Captions.
Sorry, I was so distracted by
Toilet had a
Reasonably.
round peg.
yeah.
Yeah, reasonably. Anyway.
So yeah.
But yeah, so it's like kind of rinsing some of them off and letting the like rainwater help to rinse off the mess that you've made. You've gotten a fairly good idea of what specific strains, and you'd probably be able to identify them. It was made more difficult by the dragon rampage, but you did roll an at 20 and you're already trained in it.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Yeah, so Kale will busy themselves again, like looking around, peering closely at the plants. Just, that sort of distracted busy work that you do when you're trying to not admit that something has been lost.
Varen, can I get an awareness check, please?
Yes.
That's
Oh,
a good sign.
That's a 6, so not very aware.
Okay.
Cool. We're doing great. Yeah, and then so after Kale has circled the swamp 3 or 4 times and looked at the same plants over and over again and, can't even lie to themselves anymore that they're helping, they'll sort of seem to slump their head like low near the ground, and they'll make that like high keening noise again. And then they will suddenly rush over to where Ball and if Varen and Corey are nearby, they're gonna haul everyone into this like coiled group hug and squeeze maybe even a little bit too tight.
Very messy, still covered in muck. It is nasty. smells a little bit too, because if you guys have ever been near like swamp water and bog water and marsh water,
Mhm.
it's not it's not a trash smell, but it is definitely an odor that is recognizable.
It smells like a swamp. It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's definitely the scent of like rotting vegetation and mud and the bacterial buildup that's in that water and mud and stuff. So yeah, it's an odor that you would be able to recognize
Yeah. And
very
they
vividly because it's right in your
Kale,
face.
just stinky wet Kale, hauls you all in really, really close for a big awkward group hug, and they sort of there's like a low grumble again in their throat. Not quite a growl, not quite a keen, but this like just very low guttural noise. And then underneath it, they kind of go, fine. As they squeeze you all too tight.
Yeah, you guys are this dragon's horde.
Mm-hmm.
Bal is gonna do the awkward back pat to whatever part of Kale she can reach, and then just kind of wait because she doesn't want to offend the dragon by pulling out of the hug too
That's
early.
fair.
I feel like Baron is still holding on to like the leather pouch, just like out the whole time. So it's just kind of out. She just kind of awkwardly can't like hug back.
Okay.
Yeah. Kale will eventually loosen their coils and then slump down to the ground again, and they'll steam again and just be human form Kale sitting on the ground with like their hands on their their legs up and their arms over their knees, and their head down on their arms,
Okay.
and they're just sitting there.
Can I get an awareness check from Bal this time?
Oh, good lord. Okay. 10.
10? Okay.
Yeah. I
Everything's
also took a recovery roll, an action recovery roll in the possible run.
Okay.
I would also love to do an action recovery roll. I'm getting pretty low on intellect.
Alrighty.
Woo, 5 plus 2.
Might as well if everyone's doing.
Alrighty.
I think now that Kale has settled down, I'm gonna check in on Corey and see if he's all right.
He's also poisoned, so he's just kind of been trudging along after you and like has the sword ready, but this is very well beyond his depth and is just kind of looking sadly between Bal and Kale and occasionally the very disturbed and torn up Marsh Circle, because while Corey might not have been close with Sybil, had been around Sybil as long as they'd been around you guys. So he's just kind of quiet, still looks a little green, but is there.
Are you hurt? Is he hurt? Let me check.
Probably. I'm still
He
a
is.
little. I've still got a little bit of a headache. But I'm
Yeah,
probably fine.
I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna give him a little love and heal him, or try to anyway.
Okay.
His ability is a difficulty 2 intellect task. Have I done this? Did I do this last session? I cannot physically remember.
I cannot remember if you tried to heal
Sure.
him either. I think he only suffered 1 point of damage though.
Oh,
so,
he is still. So no is the answer to this. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's basically a difficulty
You have
1
something
healing
super dice.
check.
Is it no? Actually, it's a difficulty 2 intellect task.
Okay. 'Cause I
Which
thought-
I did
I
not.
thought that healing was a difficulty task equal to the number of points that you were trying to heal.
No, this specifically is Blessing of the Gods.
Okay.
I have to make, if I succeed at the roll, I heal him for 1d6.
Okay.
except I rolled a 5.
Okay.
So I just kind of put my hand on it and then try not to throw up, and that kind of throws out my juju. So
Yeah. So like it's just because
there's
it
off.
was literally just that he got one of the little seedlings
Yep.
like stuck into him, which only deal 1 point of damage, but they do poison you. So it's mostly the poison which you would not have been able to heal.
Sorry, but I've also I'm
I
feeling
know how
depressed
you
right
feel. I know how you feel. Okay.
now. I fucking hate this city already.
Like really uncomfortable shark smile.
Mm. Are we good to go? Should we? Do you want to wait here, see if Sybil's seeds her way back to us?
Kale just shrugs, and they haven't even looked up.
All right.
Well, it seems like at least we got some clues, so we're not completely, helpless in this situation. Maybe a little lost,
Huh.
but it look back at Kale. I was like, or you know what? I'm just gonna follow your lead here, Paul, since I'm clearly not helping.
Hang on.
Hmm?
And I look around. Where is Fang?
Fang is like probably just a couple steps behind you guys and
Oh, okay.
is looking at the very torn up marsh and then just kind of occasionally looking at the bag. Has no input because also does not know what the fuck to do or what is going on.
I just wanted to confirm that we didn't accidentally seed another one of our friends to the other side of the
No.
fucking
You
world.
did not accidentally seed or lose one of your other party members, no.
Thank
At least
heaven.
not so far.
At least not so far. We'll see
Not
by the
yet.
end of the day. All right. Oh, do we have a lead on the big feeling that you had, Kale? The one that we were supposed to go to. Oh, we were looking for a library, right?
Yeah, you were going to do some research.
I don't know. It's southeast of here. You said something about a cursed forest that eats people.
Oh yeah, all over the place. Oh, we're not going there, are we? I don't like this silence. Typically, that means that we are.
Which,
Well, if I can offer my 2 cents, we were going to the library. It sounds like maybe that there could be answers to our seed mystery. Maybe they have some books there.
which also, Varen being from Polyarna, which borders on this weird forest, you have probably heard a number of wild and disparate stories about what goes on in that direction. No two stories are quite the same.
Yeah, so there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in that forest. It just everyone has their own legend about that. So I wouldn't be too worried about some of the details. Just know that it's weird.
Right.
Like I'm weird and I think it's weird.
It's a bad place.
Well, I didn't say it was bad. I just said it was weird.
No, I'm saying it's bad. I've not heard a single good thing about a place like that. Like not even people don't nobody even compliments the view. You know things are bad when people aren't complimenting the view.
It
Yeah, you do have a
felt
point there.
wrong.
Yeah, I'm just like, I just don't get the wrong impression of where I'm from. Is all I'm saying.
Right, yeah. So should we should we go to the books?
I think we should.
We can research
I'm
these new things too.
yeah. I mean, we got some plants to research. We got this thing, and keep in mind, Varen's been holding the thing up for like this entire time because doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And she's like, so we got this thing. I'm sure we can probably figure it out, or maybe know someone who might be able to figure it out.
We've also got that new thing we found at the bottom of the ocean that would be good to research as well.
That too. And Varen doesn't really remember what that is.
So,
Fine, lead on.
all right, everybody follow me. And I
Kale
start
will
walking
trail
in the
behind.
wrong direction.
Oh, good.
I was high as balls when we started
That's fair.
going to the library, and then now I'm
And
poisoned as fuck.
yeah, you were high as balls, and then you were concentrating on trying to change your arm
Oh yeah,
and
right.
just
I was not paying attention.
following where you
Yeah.
could kind of see Kale in your peripheral. So you don't even know where you are.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start walking that way. Just over that way.
Varen, you might have to guide us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kale's
just
like
give me
staying behind.
give me an awareness check, Varen, to see if you notice
Yeah.
that Belle has no idea where she's going.
I know I only rolled a 3. I
Yeah.
do also have a nat 20 banked though.
That's up to you. Is
Okay,
this
I'm gonna
something
use
you
my
want to
nat
use it on?
20.
Well,
Actually,
here's the thing. Do you want to use it on just finding a library, or do you want to save that for other important roles?
Yeah,
I'm
I'd
gonna
save it for big thing.
I would save it for big thing, yeah.
Okay.
So-
So you get a block. Definitely not an area that you would expect to have a library. It seems to have a variety of shops along the street, but maybe Bal's just taking you along the way that they were familiar with from previous visits to the city. You don't know. I mean, Bal did a lot of sailing. You see a lot of weavers' shops, a couple of tanneries. This is definitely kind of the mercantile district. And you're probably walking a good 30 or so minutes before you realize, Bal, that you have no idea where in the city you are or how to get back to the docks. And the other two would be starting to realize that you don't really know where you're going.
I want to be clear, as soon as Bal realizes that she has no fucking clue where she's going, she will try her best. She will use all of her lying skills to continue walking like she has every idea of where she's going, but will keep her eyes open to see if she can spot either a bookstore or a library and pretend that that's where she was going the whole time.
Okay. Give me a perception awareness to try and keep an eye out for to see if you can spot any type of bookstore.
Okay.
Because Sybil had asked for directions, which is why you guys were going in the correct direction originally. And since you purposefully have your character going in a different direction.
Yep.
Sybil had our brain cell, and she's not here.
Yeah, Sybil is not here.
I'm gonna put a singular free level of effort on this.
Okay.
That's a 9.
A 9. Okay.
Yeah. That's the thing.
There's a lot of stores. You're not sure if one of them would be a bookstore, because they are all just strange names that could possibly be a person's name or could be a business name.
Right.
So it's Bal walking along confidently in the front, and then at the very back of the group, Kale is trailing along, barely paying attention, just to make sure that they're not too far away from their friends,
Mhm.
but they're not like super with it. And we're getting
Okay.
rained on the whole time.
Yeah, so it's been about 30-45 minutes. Okay,
This
good
is
to
the
know.
saddest parade.
Yeah, saddest parade of the group, just marching along.
Yeah,
Um,
walking in circles.
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, like I don't listen. I don't. I know I'm kind of a small town kind of girl, but I don't think this is right.
What do you mean?
Like I don't know. I don't think the library's here.
Well, no, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh,
So, also, for that, this entire time, have you just been holding your arm out with the bag?
eventually I do kind of put it down to my side, but I'm still kind of like holding it,
Okay.
just kind of like.
Because I wanted to know if you guys were just parading through the streets with Varen just going,
No, I don't attach the bag back to myself, but I am just kind of like holding it,
okay,
like just a little bit kind of awkwardly off to the side.
okay.
I don't know why I pictured you feeling like it was going to activate and just yeeting it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like she doesn't know. Like all she knows is that Sybil had a seed. Sybil's gone now, and then Kale thinks that this is the same seed. So her logic dictates that this thing could activate at any minute and send her somewhere. So
Yeah. Boss is gonna like I said, just gonna be like, yeah, it's because we haven't arrived yet.
Okay.
So unless
that's fair.
unless
Since
sometimes
Varen
we're
wasn't
likely-
there for the original discussion for all of this, so she's just like, okay.
Kale's still covered in swamp water too, and like stinky.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
You are getting rained on, so some of it is washing off. Not all of it, and it is compounding the eventual odor that would result.
cool. Maybe we don't find a library, Paul. Maybe you're like, we should hose you off first.
Oh no, Bal is committed to her lies.
Okay, cool. Gotta find a library.
Yeah. Yeah, Belle does have a very strong commitment to them.
Amazing.
So, I do have a question before we decide to go on break.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys carrying on your persons?
What was that?
What are you guys carrying on your persons?
Let me look up at my inventory real quick.
Yeah, like what do you actually carry with you versus what do you leave on the ship? And this is
Well,
something that I also asked Maggie, and I will eventually ask Matt, because I would like to know what you guys typically have on you.
Yeah.
I have my rapier at my waist with my gun, as well as the ammunition for it. I have an assortment of 13 daggers across my outfit, just kind of tucked into little places. I am carrying all of my magical artifacts.
You need a bag to carry all of your magical
I do have
artifacts.
a bag.
Okay.
I have the same bag that I used to have all those bottles of alcohol in. It has now been refurbished into being my bag for all my items.
Okay. Last time when I checked, you said that you were leaving behind the calling stone.
Yeah, that's the only one that's staying on the desk or in the ship's the captain's quarters.
Okay.
I don't count that as one of my artifacts though. So.
What does Kale carry on their person? Because because you do have a variety of things that are able to be carried with you or left behind. So I do want you guys to start tracking what you have on your persons.
Yeah. Kale has all of the stuff that they used to keep in their pack. So, a couple spare outfits, teas of various varieties. That's all in Pico, because Pico's the hidden closet.
Yep.
And then they keep the spirit box hidden on their person. I think even in dragon form, it's on like a little, like a locket, or like a chain around their neck.
Okay. So you probably created a little wire basket for it or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do keep that on you. Good to know.
Yeah.
Amanda, what does Varen keep on her?
She carries she has a short bow slung around her back, as well as the quiver with 12 arrows, as well as the dagger just on one dagger, singular. And then she has a couple of side packs. One of them has the seed in it. And then I imagine she has like a small like wallet with the few little bit of money that she has. Maybe
Okay.
some like something that's like a nuts that she snacks on.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Amazing.
But and she has like a small like a little like pocket journal that's about like that big.
All right. Cool. Are you keeping the thing that we discussed on you as well?
Yes.
Okay. So just keep in mind what you do and don't have on you, since you have a large vessel that you leave behind when you leave it. But yes, so you guys probably wander for a good hour before Belle eventually manages to spot in the windows of one of the shops in this mercantile district what seems to be books.
Ah,
Look,
Yes.
here we are.
Yeah. You do have still a very muck covered Kale with you, who, as you guys begin to enter, the person that is behind the counter looks up, sees Kale's state, and goes, "Oh no, 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 no! Out! Out! Out you go! Out! Be gone!"
they seem very confused and offended by that, and then they like look at themselves and like, oh right, and they will go back outside.
Ugh. I don't want to clean that. How? I don't want to know. How can I help you? And with that, we will take a break.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Amazing.
All right. Cool. So we will be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. See you soon.
Bye.
Oh, we are live. Welcome back to Empyrean Wilds, episode 7, where I have a trio of players with a missing person and their character just kind of in the background, trailing along with them, carrying a seed and wandering with one of them completely covered in mud and muck and silt and algae through the streets of a major city. And that particular individual just got kicked out of the bookshop that they walked into because they are gross. And the person, after shooing Kale away and looking forlornly at the mess that had been left behind dripped on the floor, looks up at Belle and Varen and Corey, kind of peeking his head in behind them, and Fang, and goes, "How can I help you?"
I was gonna be polite, but I don't like this person shooing away Kill. So I'm gonna activate my demeanor of command.
Oh god, okay.
Cool.
And I'm going to say,
Great.
we require your books, so please, if you would be so kind, step out of the way.
Roll, I'm guessing, for intimidation?
Sure.
Because, like, verbally that kind of sounds like a threat of get out of the way while we look at the books that you have for sale. Okay. Just making sure I read that right.
It was more of I'm somebody important and I don't have time to deal with you while we use your store as a library, essentially. But sure.
Okay. That would still kind of be an intimidation thing.
That's fair. I'm going to put
Yeah.
3 levels of effort into this.
Of course you are, and it is eased by 1 by demeanor of command.
Yeah. Ooh, this is 7 on the dice.
Okay, so eased by 4 in total. The person does seem thoroughly intimidated in some fashion, even with that roll.
Of course.
Kind of shuffles back a little startled by your insistence and just kind of stands there uncomfortably at their counter, watching you wide-eyed, not really sure how to respond.
Fantastic. Kale, could you come in, please?
The mess.
I think it's better if I remain out here.
I need your help finding what we need to know, given you're the one who felt.
I am covered in mud.
Fine, I'll bring the books out. Corey, could you start gathering all of the books and taking them outside, please? Thank you.
Just give me a moment, maybe. Did I see, like, is there like a fountain or a pond or even like
there are probably
rain.
public fountains that are used for people's like drinking water and such. Are you going to go bathe yourself in the streets drinking water?
Not in the drinking water, but if there's like a because it's raining, so if there's like a gutter with a good pour coming down from it, I will have an idea that I'm going to do.
They actually have a fairly well-designed system where the gutters seem to run into, I wouldn't call them full aqueducts, but they do run into duct slides that seem to go into some sort of underwater or underground water collection system.
Okay. So yeah, if there's any kind of, actually this is funnier, I will poke my head back in the door, still like dripping filth, and be like, proprietor, you do not happen to have a bucket, do you?
Behind like looks back and forth between you and Bal, and then at Corey. But behind the shop,
Thank you. I will be back in a moment. And I'll go behind the shop and grab the bucket.
Yeah. It takes a little squeezing because the alley is very narrow. Obviously, this is not like how any deliveries or anything are made. And
A small person.
a very small, almost like back porch courtyard type area with like a tiny amount of green, low walls, maybe 3 feet high, and a bucket next to what seems to be a water pump.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, then I'm just gonna sluice off in the back alley, dump
Okay.
the bucket over my head until it runs relatively clear.
Okay. Are you going to change your clothes at all, or are you still
yeah.
just kind of mud stained? Okay.
In fact, I will let's see. When I'm wet but clean, look around. How much room is in this little alleyway? Not a lot, I'm guessing.
The alley itself is maybe 2 feet wide. The back
Well, it is.
little, yeah, the back little porch slash not quite yard is probably about 5 by 5.
Cool. Then I will strip down to small clothes. Change into dragon form, but like rear up on the hind legs and stretch up the building a fair ways. Grip onto the bricks and shake all of the water off.
In the rain. Okay.
And then change back to human form, come under the awnings, and change clothes with a new outfit out of Pico.
Are you trying to be stealthy or quiet about this at all?
Zero. I'm making a gigantic scene because there's a dragon in the middle of the city.
Yeah. So, as you do this, inside, waiting for Kale with this very confused and intimidated shopkeep,
Right.
like there's this like flinch jump because there's the sound of scraping and like crunching of wood and stone as a dragon grips onto the edges of the roof and building.
Of course. As you do.
And then like that shaking dog noise, that like flap, 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 flap.
Yeah.
Sure. It's very loud.
And
I can imagine that sounds louder still because it's scales.
A bigger, yeah.
Yeah, like because the scales and the tail and the mane of thick plant matter, grassy frond things that are the mane of the dragon. Like it's a disturbing sound. And because that's behind the building, whereas he might have previously run up the stairs to his living quarters, he's instead looking like if you were not blocking the door, he would be running out the door.
What the hell is going on in the alley?
There's a hurricane localized directly outside his door.
Yeah.
Right now. Amazing.
Yeah.
What will the neighbors say?
I absolutely
at this time of year,
time.
at this time of season, localized directly in behind your eye.
Yeah. I love that we meet NPCs and then we scar them for life. Like this is the beginning of a new cultural lore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exchange 3 words, scar them for life.
Well, since Kale kind of gave me an indication that they were going to do something, I think I'm going to, instead of just dragging literally every single book out of this bookstore, I'll just start browsing for.
Okay.
I'm specifically going to look for anything related to potentially either ancient artifacts or whatever ancient societies used to exist in previous eras.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a search check. Or investigation, research, whatever you want to call it. Varen, are you also looking for anything, or are you just being amused by the entire encounter?
I'm amused, but then I feel like I will start trying to find books maybe about plants, I guess.
Okay.
Even though Kale would have the knowledge of what exactly to look for, I figured I'll go ahead and start getting a head start
Okay.
I'm
on
busy
finding
for a
books.
moment.
Mm,
15.
So also give me a search or
Right,
research
right.
check. So
Just so we're on the same page, I'm looking for information on the artifact that I found in the depths of the ocean.
okay. So you are in a local bookshop,
Yeah.
not a library.
Oh, I know.
So there does seem to be a number of books on agriculture. You find an entire section on weaving practices, spinning, and weaving patterns. You do find what seems to be a very small book on local practices that might maybe contain something regarding either artifacts or devices used in those local practices. You do not find anything regarding magic, artifacts, ciphers, ancient digs. You don't even find anything on history. You just find a bunch of what seems to be probably you're at an airport bookshop.
Well, this is useless. All right, I'm gonna that
You
book
do
that
see
I
a
found.
very interesting smutty romance like tucked
Picking
away
it.
on the bottom shelf. Yeah, you
I'm
do.
not even looking at it. I'm just pocketing that shit. I don't care.
Okay. Are
That's from
you
there.
pocketing it, or are you obviously just grabbing it and putting it in a pocket?
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to be stealthy.
Okay.
I know you just gave me the capacity to be stealthy.
Yeah.
Just, no.
Just gonna steal some books. We're doing
Yeah,
great.
and then I'm gonna peruse the other book that you said that I found.
Okay. Varen, what was your roll?
It was a 4.
It was a 4.
So, yeah.
So good.
The difficulty was a 1
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, sweet.
because you are in Polyarna, which is an agricultural city-state. So there are a number of books on local plant life, how to keep your city garden alive, like a bunch of things like that. You, ironically, even though Bal didn't do find a history book, but it's the history of cattle farming in the city state that also deals with like the plants that do best for their grazing and things like that. But alas, nothing about marshlands or jungles.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well,
Kale,
I'm striking out here.
during all of this, because searching does take a little bit, Kale, you would eventually, still damp because it is still raining outside, be able to wander back in wet but no longer filthy.
Yeah. I'll wring out my hair as best as I can, but I'm still very obviously wet.
Yeah. Wandering back in, you see the shopkeep just kind of not fully crouched behind the counter because the scary noises were coming from behind the shop, but there's also scary people in the shop. So it's just kind of a half crouch to where like kind of looking behind and then like eyes darting between Bal and Corey more than Varen. Occasionally looks at Varen, very strange look, makes a weird hand gesture when they do that, and then like goes back to kind of half crouching. Because you are trained in reading people, so all of that would be obvious to you on entrance to the shop.
I will give them a little bit of a nod and say, my apologies. Apologies for the mess. And then sweep up to go see what Ball and Baron are up to.
They're looking at books.
Cool. Can I get the sense that this is a bookshop?
Yes.
Like,
it is
like
very
a
obviously a bookstore.
Yeah, it's not a library. There's not going to be any like interesting ancient tomes.
All of the books are displayed front cover forward.
Yeah.
That's why it was so obvious that, oh, that's a smut book.
Yeah. Well,
I
have you found anything useful?
just a book on local what's the term? I can't remember the word right now. I'm blanking on it. Behaviors, patterns, practices. That's the word. Oh, and a smart, but that's for me later.
I don't think this is the place that we were looking for.
We aren't going to get into cattle farming anytime soon, are we?
I should hope not.
California farming? No.
Cattle.
Cattle. Okay, well then, no, I also have not found anything relevant.
Right. Oi, sir.
It
How much are the books?
depends on the book.
Listen, and I show him both of the ones that I'm holding, or the one that I have and the other one.
Like, looks at, still half looking around at all of you, and then finally takes a bead on what each of the books are. 3 clip for the book on religious practices, and then 5 clip for the other one.
Okay. I'm gonna actually walk up to the counter and pay him.
He flinches a little.
There you go.
Yeah, he flinches a little.
Sorry, we just lost a friend. Very sad. I also did not like how you were talking to my friend. Actually, you know what? And I kind of lean on the counter and turn around kind of halfway. I'd like you to apologize to my friend for how rudely you dismissed them.
Ball,
Yeah,
it's all right.
okay.
I was absolutely
okay.
filth on the floor.
I'm sorry for shooing you out of the shop when you were dripping muck and mud on my floor that I'm going to have to clean.
That is all right. I would have done precisely the same if someone had walked into my shop. I apologize deeply. Is there anything I can do to help?
Leave.
Well, that's not very kind. Right. Do you know if there's a better bookstore around here somewhere? I'm asking the store owner.
Or library, rather. I think a library would be more helpful.
Yeah, one of them.
And then just kind of points hesitantly, because isn't sure if you're going to attack him, but Kale, having dealt with store owners, you do have the feeling that while you guys have not seen city guards, if there are some sort of city guards or authority, that as soon as you're gone, they will be called and you will be reported.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. I am going to try to smooth things over as best as I can and just sort of go, listen, it's like my companion said, this has been quite the day and we're not precisely at our best. Please let me help you clean, so that you don't, at least we haven't made your day that much worse. And I'll sort of shoo Ball and Baron out the door.
All right.
Is she going to pay for... And then just kind of looks at you very uncomfortably as you shoo them out.
I'll slide the clips onto the...
I did explicitly say I paid.
Oh, you did pay? I thought you had interrupted the paying to try and make him apologize to Kale.
I paid.
Okay, and then okay.
I made him.
Right, so scratch reverse. He just kind of like watches them leave very warily and then looks at you in your horned and plant mane of a hair glory, and just kind of goes, makes another one of those same hand gestures to himself and goes, help would be appreciated.
I'll stay behind and help clean up the stoop.
Okay. So how long do you like stay? Like, do you do a good job? What are the other two doing while you are attempting to help clean?
Actually,
Look up my power for a second.
I did not understand that the book that I have is a book on religious practices.
Yeah.
Oh, in that case, I'm nose deep in that bitch.
Yeah, it is local practices. A lot of them can be considered religious, but some of them seem to be superstitious and like festivals. But it's just kind of this is oddly enough something that would have normally been under Sybil's purview while she was studying, because it's kind of an anthropological look at the festival and religious practices of the area.
Sweet. I'm looking specifically for Paradoja lore.
Okay.
I'm actually like looking through, see if I can find anything on them, they, her, she.
You do find a couple mentions. Most of it does seem to be coastal or those traveling. But there does not seem to be direct festivals or practices intended toward her directly. She is mentioned as one of the ones that is occasionally looked to or prayed to during the Year's Crossing festival, and occasionally during like seasonal events. But she's not the main person that, or the main god that they would be looking toward, essentially.
So nothing particularly new that I didn't already know, just from osmosis.
From about Paradojo, no.
Okay. I'm just gonna keep reading. I guess until Kale leaves, because I don't want to leave Kale alone.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just like helping to scrub the porch and the entryway mat. I don't think I came very far into the store because Kale was at least aware that they were utterly filthy.
Okay. So yeah,
and I'll try and just chat with the proprietor and put them at ease and be like, oh,
he's very quiet with you. Does not participate in the chatting.
So
there are also another couple of those that you get the impression, as it happens a couple more times, seem to be like superstitious, like warding hand gestures that he makes when he has to look, when he looks at you directly.
Right. Do I get the impression that he's still going to call the cops on us when we leave?
Probably not, because in reality, you guys came in and were horrible customers and threatening, but you did purchase and you cleaned up. So there's not a lot that can be done other than warning other people that you are very aggressive.
Yeah, hello cops. They were assholes. They cleaned up after themselves and also paid for their books.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so like basically it's supposed to be we have the right to refuse you service and you said no, but
then you bought something,
but you also did not steal and you cleaned up the mess, so it becomes more of your word versus his.
This is also like one of those stories that you'll tell to your fellow shopkeepers for years, where you're like, yeah, remember that one time?
Yeah, you are the Karen that just blew through the shop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you are the Karen that just blew through the shop. But yeah, so as far as you can tell, he is not going to attempt to contact authorities to have your visages put out as watch out for these people.
Cool. Then Kale will, keep up some like pleasant but half-hearted one-sided conversation until everything's cleaned, and then be like, I apologize for bothering you, and then head out to join everyone else.
Okay. While you are reading, waiting for Kale to come back, you learn that the primary deity that Polyerna seems to follow, and that a lot of the festivals that have anything to do with the concept of a deity would be Chaelda, currently considered to be the god of work and trade, but oddly is utilized in a lot of the agricultural worship and festivals. You also learn of a Wickerman festival, where over the course of a week, they intricately weave and build like reed woven and wicker woven people that they then burn at the end.
Interesting.
Varen looks over Ball's shoulder and was like, oh yeah, those are really fun to go to. I should take y'all there one day.
You mean where they make little fake people and then burn them afterwards?
Yeah.
That's fun.
It is. I mean, like you get to make something and then you get to light it on fire and then everyone gets to dance around the fire. It's really good. Plus, I think it's the reason why the crops are, so good in this region.
This is a fire dancing.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, and it also helps to ward off the
weird.
The weird
the
stuff.
weird shit.
Yeah, it helps to ward off the weird shit and make sure that the crops grow healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they definitely didn't do it properly this year then, because we're here.
The weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just make a general occult awareness roll, Varen. Since you are trained in the occult.
14.
You have a feeling that the Harvest Close Wickerman festivals across the entirety of Polyerna will probably be like 2 or 3 times what they had been in the past, simply because of Magic Awakening and people getting even weirder. So that will probably actually very heavily impact the festivals that end up going on during the autumn harvest and things like
More
that.
weird stuff to ward off.
Yeah, the last year's didn't work, so they got to make it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll rejoin everybody and be like, I believe there is a library somewhere that way.
You would have eventually been able to get like very mumbled directions of like where to make your turns. It'll still be a roll because he was very uncomfortable talking to you, but yeah.
Hey, I'm an explorer. I'm good at finding my way.
And you look like a plant monster come to life and were originally covered in mud. So in an agricultural nation, you are probably going to be looked at either as deific or demonic.
I'm up for either one, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just putting it out there as a plant dragon.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, you guys decide to head to the library. Are you satisfied with your current books? Are you going to go back to the ship?
To the library.
Okay.
Bal needs more information or whatever the fuck Ace was fucking around with.
Okay.
And also, I need to know, me as a player, need to know more about this deity that I am now intrinsically bound to. So.
Okay. So someone give me a navigation roll to try and find this library.
That's me. I'm good at this, and I'm going to put an effort on it.
Okay.
I don't want to. Oh God, that's another nat 20.
Okay. Nat 20.
I know exactly which way it is.
Basically triangulating the way that you guys were originally heading, versus the way that the shopkeep had pointed and the approximate directions that he had given you, you navigate fairly well. And it is, even in the drizzle, a beautiful city. There are plenty of sights to see, and there are plenty of like displays, even under awnings that protect them, of gorgeous weaving and tile and ceramics. There's seems to be any number of shops that you can purchase a lot of food goods in, before it eventually gets to what seems to be more of kind of a residential type of area, and eventually a large block of it that just has wide streets around it, green plant life and yard around the building, and then what you can assume is the library, based off of the fact that people are like entering easily, and it has so many windows, all of them stained glass.
Can I have bought us an umbrella at the earliest opportunity?
Yes.
So I'm still soaking and walking out in the rain, but I've given the umbrella to everyone else to stay dry.
I'm not using it. I'm like a water person. So
Yeah, that's true. The two of us are just sodden.
Like,
yeah.
technically speaking, Belle has the power to draw the water off of you guys.
That's true.
Like, Belle has the power to be able to dry you guys off by just controlling the water off of you. But, you know, would Belle think to do so because you're so frequently in the water and on the water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Belle is not even aware that he can do that. Because he can I could use water to protect myself. I could draw that water out away from you guys, but
yeah, it wouldn't keep you from.
Have you thought of it? Nah.
It wouldn't necessarily keep you from getting wet, but it could you could use that water as your water manipulation.
So definitely Fang and Varen are sharing the umbrella now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, for my nat 20, can I have gotten the impression that Ball was bullshitting us earlier? I did not know where she was going.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, cool.
With the nat 20, yeah, probably.
Where are we going? Okay.
Yeah.
See what's going on.
Corey is also using an umbrella. But yeah, I just find it amusing that, like, it could be one of those Avatar The Last Airbender in the desert, like, the water sinks into the sand, and you're just like, no! And then, like,
what was that?
Yeah. But yeah, so it is a beautiful library. You are slightly steaming because your temperature does run warm as you enter. So it's a lovely humid cloud all around you as you walk in, like, completely sodden into this building. But while there are counters nearby where there seem to be research fellows of some kind, it seems to just kind of be open access shelves across this entire first floor. They are all, anyone that you see in there, fairly well dressed. And it's a variety of looks. Some of them are probably native to Polyarna, because you see that same frequently, like, woven pattern across most of their clothing. Others possibly are visitors, and there seems to be a mixture of those who had been affected by Magic's Rise and those who have not. So it's a good mixed bag of that, but they do all seem to be at least well dressed, if not well off.
Kale will, still in the entryway, but, you know, not coming in because they're still soaping wet and dripping, sort of take a look fondly around the library, sigh deeply, and go, Sybil would have loved this.
And as Kale says that, I walk past and I go, rest in peace. And I just stomp my way into the library.
You get a couple of like irritated looks from the various what you can assume to be librarians,
Of course.
Kale
and they are now
glares.
watching you in paranoia because
I'm
you are
actually gonna go
bringing
to one
water.
of them.
Yeah, you are bringing water towards books.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to one of them then, since that is a very easy way to tell when somebody works here. Uh, hello.
Hello.
You work here, yeah?
Yes, for the moment.
Brilliant. I'm looking for books on a specific topic.
Okay.
Um, okay, so this is two. I don't know how important this might. Okay, so the first is artifacts, but preferably ancient kind. Um, the second is if pretend this might be the harder one to find. Actually, I just realized it's three. The second one, I would like potentially any information you could help me find on local naval ships, prefer especially those that may have sunken off the coast. And then the third thing is anything on the Daisy Paradoha, please. Thank you.
Regarding your artifacts and historical objects of import, we might have had one or two on perhaps research digs, but if you're looking for in-depth information, I would suggest traveling to Icenbridge. Their academy would have much more information than we would. It's not exactly
Right, yeah,
a common topic here.
Right, yeah. So about that, I've been there, but it's been blown up and filled with plants. So I'm sort of looking for the next
It's
best
been what?
Yeah. Well, not the whole city, just the book.
Roll for social interaction for this person to even believe you that you're not just like talking out of your ass.
That's crazy because I just rolled a 6.
6.
Amazing.
Blown up. All right.
I know you don't. You might. That sounds crazy, but I actually am one of the people in charge of the city, at least for now.
Of course you are.
No, but I am.
Alas, we still would not have a lot of information on it.
Right.
Simply because that's not something that we don't even have an academy here. Most of our training is done via apprenticeship.
I see.
I can see if we can find any ledger notes of when such digs might have happened. But
Right.
would you be able to direct me to the purpose of your research?
Oh yeah. So on our way here, this is going to sound bonkers, but on our way here, I actually went to the bottom of the ocean and found an artifact, and I'm trying to identify what it is.
Right.
Well, I can show you as I've got it on my person actually, and I pull it out.
Well, it certainly looks like it's been to the bottom of the ocean.
Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, your urgency does not automatically generate the existence of books that had not previously existed.
Right.
Though your enthusiasm is appreciated, would you be willing to dry yourself in some fashion prior to being allowed to see any of the books? Water
Yeah, of course.
damage.
Have you got a towel of some kind?
We do. It is raining fairly frequently right now.
Could I get one as well? I'm still over by the entryway, like just dripping. And
Yeah. Wait, hold on, hang on. Is it raining more than normal, would you say?
No, it's the summer rains.
Right. Just making sure. I've encountered bonkers weather in general. Just things all crazy everywhere.
Things are very crazy everywhere. Just a moment.
Thank you.
And then goes underneath the counter, and then like seems to pull out what seems to be a large basket of like, they're not like the fluffy terry cloth towels that we would know, but like what seems to be some sort of drying cloths of a variety of sizes that are just there and available for you guys to try to dry yourselves off.
Nice. Good.
I'll actually go for it. I'll actually respectfully dry myself. They're just people trying to help others. I'm not gonna make life harder for them.
Yeah, and it is because it is not something that people can easily protect themselves from. They do actually just habitually keep a basket of towels with each of the librarians that are at the front, so that if it is needed, anyone can ask for one on their way in.
Sweet.
We'll head over to grab a towel and still try and dry off, and they'll be like, "Paul, is there any way? I know that water is sort of your thing. Is there any way you could, I don't know, get rid of it?
Never tried. Sort
I'm
of.
a little too damp for these towels to do much." They're still like
Which
trying to get frond of their hair.
Which amusingly, because of the what your hair is made out of, it's
Yeah.
not super porous, so it doesn't hold the water once you start like getting the towel into it. Your skin, on the other hand, is still skin, and your clothing is still wet from walking from one end of the city to another.
Yeah.
I can try. Okay. And I'm going to try. I guess I'm going to try to water bend them.
You,
Yeah.
the control water that you have from your water shield.
That is literally the only actual water control power that I have.
Okay.
So yes.
So if you activate your water shield without opening your little water skin that you have at your side, it will pull the water that you need.
Us?
Right. Uh, and I'm just gonna do that. And now I'm even more wet than I was before I dried myself.
Oh, so you pull it, and the shield isn't on your person, it circulates you. So it's like,
Oh, gotcha.
so from your hair and your clothes, and then a little bit from Kale's clothes, because Kale is not like in your immediacy. It like little droplets pull out of the air and begin to form what seems to be a water sphere that just starts circulating, like it's orbiting your body. Which you've seen the water shield be used in combat before. This is the first time they've done that. Yeah, they've done that, like, just whatever. They did do a little bit something similar when they first met you with some beer. But that was a while
Like
ago.
Hale was asking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just look at the library attendant or whatever their name is, and just go, one moment, I've got to deliver this water where it's not going to make a big puddle.
Wide-eyed staring.
And then I just kind of start backing away.
Wide-eyed staring at you.
I guess I'm gonna do a couple of these trips to just get everybody dry. I guess now that I know that I can do this.
Yeah, that is entirely up to you. The others,
Direct
while they
outdoors.
were damp, have dried off a little bit. They're still damp, because they were using umbrellas.
Oh, that's right. Then yeah, I'll just dry. I guess I'll dry myself and Kale off.
Yeah, which the umbrellas function or look predominantly like parasols, so they're not like the automatic click umbrellas, but they look primarily like parasols, but they're a thin, not quite linen material that seems to have been waxed in some fashion to help repel water.
But yeah, we're dry now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have been stared at by all of the librarians that were there, not just the one that you were talking to, during all of this, because this is the most blatant use of non-mundane power that they have seen. Artifacts, you said. They're looking for artifacts. We had a research sig. I think, and they start like mumbling to themselves. Was it 10 years ago? Was that 11? No, it was 9 years ago. It was 9 years ago. And so they start like looking through notes, which directs them to a very large book that they then begin to flip through again, trying to cross-reference a couple of things, look in a different book, cross-reference that, and it seems to be some sort of clip process for the pages, the closest that you've probably seen in this world to a binder. And they go, yes, I think there's one ledger from the neighboring city, neighboring farm town. Yes, and they, like, one of them wanders off to try and fetch the book for you.
Like, while you have that out, I'm looking for information on, well, not quite local folklore, but information about the haunted forest. There's all sorts of stories just to the southeast of here.
The looks go even more startled, and both of the research librarians that are attempting to help you and consulting on this make that same hand gesture.
Cool.
Before they go, there would be no information on that here.
Look at Ball, and I'm like, give you a look that means I clearly think that's bullshit. Interesting.
People don't go there. There's no information beyond people don't go there. There would be no information on that here.
Does it have a name?
Not that is worthy of saying. They look very weirded out by the fact that you're trying to name it.
Do you know how long ago this whole thing started? Because I imagine places don't just appear, they become, right?
The other side? They like whisper it.
Sure, yes.
As far as we know, it's always been like that.
Leave a little bit and go over to where Varen is and be like, Varen, you're from here, aren't you?
I am, yes.
But you're willing to speak of this forest. Everyone here seems terrified.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's a very terrifying place.
Why?
Just there's a lot of stories that happen.
That no one will speak of.
Well, I mean, just because I personally think they're a little paranoid, but at this point I do want to recall like one story to tell to Kale.
So a lot of the stories that you personally would have heard are the boogeyman stories of when you were a little kid growing up. The forest, like being warned that the forest would creep out and grab you if you wandered too far. That if Polyerna didn't stand between the other side, which is what it's frequently called, and the rest of the continent, that it would take over. That there are those who have tried and who were driven mad. There are stories about it reaching out like a living thing and cursing people. there's also like a tale that is frequently told at the Wicker Man Festival that the forest, or that the other side isn't just nature, it is something that fell, and that is why we burn its remains. But it's, to you, it would, like, being a skeptic that grew up around it, it sounds like a lot of boogeyman stories.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just like one of those things that they tell kids to kind of, make sure they don't wander too far from the farmlands and stuff. But
Interesting.
no, I can't help but, you know, feel that, there is some weirdness that does happen. It could just be, I think it's coincidence,
But
but
there's more of it these days. Usually these things have some basis in reality, even if it was 100 years ago when magic last was awakened.
that's a possibility. If you think it could be magic?
I would put money that it is.
Interesting. I never thought of it that way.
We had a lot of stories like that in Deepview, where I'm from. The things that lived in the depths, the strange magics and artifacts that you would find, and we found that a lot of them were actually fairly real.
Hmm. Gives me some things to think about then.
I do wish Sybil was here.
I think while I'm waiting for this person to bring me my information, I'm gonna start reading that smut novel that I got.
Okay.
Nice.
Um,
I don't need details. I'm just gonna read it.
do either of you ask for anything other than information regarding the forest?
I would ask for some maps.
Some
They have
maps?
maps of the area, specifically the peninsula.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think I'll find the forest on it, but we'll know what's beyond to the south of the peninsula.
There is an entire section on almanacs and maps that they are happy to gather a variety of materials for you from.
Cool.
And they do so very quickly, hand signing once more, and this time it seems in relief, not necessarily viewing you as like the concerning weird thing that the bookshop owner had, but as the, okay, we're not going to be attempting to dig up any information on the scary other place.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they like rush off to start collecting things, and it is taking the first research librarian a little bit to come back with the ledger that they had mentioned, simply because there are a lot of ledgers and they've got to find a very specific one. But as you start reading it, it is called the Courting in the Barnyard, which is a name, but it has to do with farmhand of some kind that had been hired for the recent harvest, and to help with things around the farm. And his glistening muscles, etc., 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 and it's very poorly written, but like gets into graphic descriptions of this character's body, the main character's body, probably within the first 2 pages. and you get the general gist that there's going to be potentially multiple affairs with the various brothers and sisters of the farm owner.
Spicy.
I look over the shoulders like, oh yeah, that's a good one. I really like this story.
Yeah. It's not exactly well written, but it is written in detail. It's like reading early stage fanfiction.net smut.
Yeah, it's smut.
Yeah, it's smut, and it'll smut for you. But that's the extent of its quality.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually, first the person that is collecting maps for Kale to look at comes back, and then carrying what seems to be a fairly thick, large leather-bound book. The other librarian comes back and like flips to a certain section, setting it on a side table for you, Bal.
I'm diving in.
Yeah. Kale, you get maps of the peninsula. You get a lot of maps of Polyerna. You get a couple maps that seem to be the mix of Polyerna and Karthok. On each of them, very notably, there is no real definition to the shape of the area beyond the mountains.
Okay. If there's spare paper and pen, I'll try to copy out some of the maps.
You could request some.
Yeah. I'll copy them out as best as I can, and then privately, like kind of covering my work, sketch out an area where I think I felt that whole bad vibe.
Okay.
That's probably where the other side is.
Okay. Before we get to that, Bal, so what you are provided is an actual ledger that seems to be a notation of visitors, of sales, of the harvest, etc., of one of the towns in Polyerna. Just a moment. Let me get the name.
We have a map.
A big map.
Yeah. The name wouldn't be on the big map yet.
Mm.
Let's see.
See, the interesting thing with playing Val is that Val, unlike Senior Fluffington, actually has a brain and sometimes actually uses it.
Remember to use it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting her to care enough to put effort into things.
I'm trying to find the notes. There are many notes. Okay.
It's okay, take your time.
Why didn't you open? There we go. Peltor? Pealtor.
Peltor.
Peltor. So it seems to be some sort of small town. You are not sure where it is. It is a ledger of comings and goings, and it is the start of mention of the research dig that happens nearby. There is no description of the dig, what they find, or like specifics about it, or why they decided to start digging there. But there is a note of a variety of objects that were being unearthed. Where is this note? By I'm trying to find the last name. I know the first name.
Okay.
A Mabel Argyle.
I see. This is the name of whom? Sorry.
The research person that is doing a lot of the digging. She seems to be the person that is leading the whole research dig that is being done there. So a number of objects were found and being studied by a Mabel Argyle that were then sent to Icenbridge. The ledger, again, does not depict what those specific things were, possibly because whoever was writing the ledger didn't know what they were.
Is there any indication of any particular sinking ships or anything?
In this, it was just the dig. In terms of the sinking ships, they are still trying to get a general list of potential sunken ships and or lost ships that were never reported back at port. But that is something that the librarian is having to cross-reference in a variety of materials for you. You have a feeling that it'll probably take them a good hour or two.
Okay. I'm gonna make a mental note to talk to oh fuck, Sybil's mom.
Hmm.
I'm gonna put a pin on that for now.
I would like to remind you that Sybil just encouraged her little sister to go missing to get the mom to come back from freaking out at the ruins.
We've made great choices.
So when you do eventually manage to get a hold of Sybil's mom, it will be after one child had already gone missing.
So all three of them have gone missing at some point now.
Yeah.
One came back as a lizard.
There's literally one
they thought that Sybil was missing for a while too.
So. Oh, that's true, for a really long while. Sybil's just missing again.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's fine. I'll just pretend Sybil is still around but doesn't want to talk because she's done that before. I know this. So it'll be fine. I want to make a mental note about this whole thing so that I can contact back home later.
Okay.
That's it for me until they bring me information either on the naval charters or on Pendula.
Okay. So you are trying to pinpoint where the location was that you saw where this was. Okay. Give me an intellect check to see if you can. Yes, because you're trying to cross-reference from a variety of maps that are none of them exactly precise, because these are cartographers that are having to work off of general descriptions and ideas from their position and perspective on land. This is not going to ever be as precise as what we currently have because there's no like going up to space to look at the shape of shit.
Yeah, exactly. So I put an ease on it and I rolled 14.
14. All right. You get the general idea of where it might be.
Okay.
It's
nothing specific.
Just a general area.
Yeah.
If I can pull up.
Oh yeah, we've got our map.
The map. I can try to explain to you approximately where. Because it's not like I can just point to it on a screen.
No.
Okay.
We can also mark it up later.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, over here-ish.
I can just do that in a screen clip. Just a second. Let me pull up a screen clip and do that with the screen clip function. Okay, so screen capture.
Nice.
New. Okay. There's that. And then copy and
Nice.
paste. So that was the one where you had a, well, of course I put it in the wrong chat. Come on. So that was where you had the more directed feeling, because remember, there was a general feeling of east to south that the general badness felt, and then where you got the impression that directionally that dream took place. So that's directionally, theoretically, where the dream might have taken place.
So yeah, Kale looks around to make sure there's no librarians lurking nearby, and then we'll uncover the map and sort of point to that section and be like, Varen, what do you know about this area?
Well, I mean, I've never been there, but that's clearly where the other side is, pretty far deep into the mountains.
That's what I thought. That's where I had that feeling about the dream. That's where it was.
Now, for Varen, you know that there is some measure of settlements that far towards the mountains in that area, but they're further and farther between there. Not a lot of ranching is done, and supposedly people get a little off in that direction, or at least you've heard that they do. You haven't personally been there, so it might also just be the general level of superstition that is common to this area.
I feel like Varen at some point when she was younger was there to go to like the edge of the other side, but then like was probably told on and got in trouble for getting that close. So
yeah, like you would again have the general impression of that, but that is also looking at the map. Several days travel, and it's not like easy travel from where you're from, because your townish area is pretty much well north of that. So it's not an easy place to travel to, and most people would say it's not worth traveling to whatever towns or settlements are there. Yeah. They will eventually come back with what seems to be a variety of cross-referenced information for you, of just a general list of ships that seem to be either missing at sea or lost in some fashion over the past 10 years.
I don't think it. I think I'm gonna need something much older than 10 years, but I'm gonna be thorough. And
what exactly are you searching for? Because that is probably several days worth of research for people to try to put together.
I'm just trying to find. That's why I was like, this is probably not gonna be very successful. But I was trying to figure out information on the ship that potentially was holding the artifact, in order to attempt to kind of figure out what the artifact is in a more roundabout way.
The ship that was holding the artifact that you found?
Yes.
Give me a general intellect check.
Can I put effort into this?
Yes, you can.
I'm gonna put a level of effort just the one. 12.
12. This was probably down there for a very long time.
I figured, yeah.
It is entirely possible that you won't be able to find ledgers regarding it. At least not in a easily accessible free public library.
Yeah.
So you can try to pay to have research done for the next couple of days of a number of ships that are lost, and it's not going to contain like a list of their cargo when they were lost, but they would be able to find you just information on these ships and captains have been lost. This is what the crew, the name of the crew members would have been, because the ledger of the goods that they would have had on them for that specific trip that they went missing on is generally not going to be important enough just for record keeping. That would have been typically, that's the type of thing that the owners of the ships would keep in mind. Or if it was something of high import, possibly dockmasters, but dockmasters of like the time that it went out. So without knowing specifically when it would have gone, like when it would have dropped, hard to say if you are going to be able to find the name of the ship and just look into it.
It's like trying to find the cargo manifest of a Spanish galleon at like the public library.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a not even a nat 20 long shot.
No, that makes sense.
With that list in hand, if you seem satisfied with it, they would then go into trying to find various information on different deities and potentially Perdoja for the area.
Sure, I'll pin this search.
Okay.
Where it is, yeah.
With that, fairly quickly, they would start bringing over one book, and then another book, and then another book, and then another book, until an entire table set aside for research is covered in a variety of books on religion and belief systems of Polierna, and seemingly what on one of the books is called the Heptarchy of the peninsula, just covering the entire table, like different religious practices and beliefs, and some of them look much older than others, but it was a fairly obvious section for them to start gathering books for you from.
Okay.
I can help Ball look through this because Kale's like, is this all like gods and local practices? That's interesting, and it may come in useful. Do you mind? We'll divide up the work.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, no, by all means. Help.
I'll help with whatever finding, although Kale's looking for ghost stories and like gods of the forest or the dead, plant deities.
Okay. So both of you just go ahead and roll me an intellect. Varen, are you sneaking the smut book while they are doing this, or are you reading and helping them with their research?
At this point, I probably should help them with the research.
Okay.
So I will also roll an intellect.
Okay.
I'm going to use my free reroll because that was
Okay.
crap. Oh, that's much better. I rolled 3, and then this one was a 12.
I have a bank nat 20. I'm gonna use it.
Okay, you're using your nat
Ooh.
20. Beautiful.
I rolled a 14.
14. All right. What was your final roll, Kale?
12, but I spent an effort, so I've used it.
Okay. So we'll start with the 12. What you actually initially find is Cheelda. Because and it's in some of the older books. They
Yeah.
look they've got that kind of paper quality of, oh, these are old. These are like first edition type old. And you flip through them a little bit, and the mentions of the religious practices and general behaviors within Polyrna does seem to still revolve around Cheelda, who in this edition or mentions seems to be a god of the earth and growing things instead of work and trade. So you
How
get
is that spelled again?
Cheelda,
Yeah.
Chealda.
Okay.
Yeah. So CHLA or EALDA.
Hilda. Okay, cool. God of
The earth and growing things.
nice.
And you can generally like going, didn't Ball just say that they have something about worshipping because of work and trade? Flipping through a couple of other books, you get the general sense that over at least the most recent period of non-magic, that while originally the belief and worship of this deity was because agricultural, so growing earth, growing things, that it kind of evolved into, because there's not direct connection and direct communication with the deity, work and trade.
Right. Interesting.
You also find mention of the god of death, who is only seen or mentioned really in funerary rites, which for the most part in Polyrna is pyre. He is the god of the night and the passage of death. And this seems to be kind of a genderless deity, very similar to Polyrna.
Cool.
Varen, what are you searching for? Were you helping Kale? Are you helping Ball search for mentions of Perdoha?
I'm helping Kale.
You're
I
helping
feel like
Kale?
that
Okay.
Varen knows more about what Kale's looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would be able to confirm that a lot of the rituals and practices that mention Cheelda, or call to that particular god, do seem to be more about the harvest and the plants and the growing things, despite the fact that, yeah, he's supposed to be prayed to for work and trade. So it kind of tracks on that. And while there are the occasional like altar to him, generally it's a more broad search. Like you would be able to find and then mention that there's a specific type of tree, a hawthorn, that if it grows in the middle of a field, Polyrna agriculture will work around it rather than trying to tame it or cut it down, because it's considered to be a gift from Cheelda.
Like a sacred plant.
Yeah. And when it decides to come down, it'll come down on its own, essentially. when we get to Joel's role, Baal, you do find mentions of Paradoja. It's less in tune and in time with Chaelda and more with Alear. Because while Paradoja is change and transition, Alear was night, death, and passage. So they tended to work fairly well in tandem. So a lot of people, when praying to one, would also pray to the other.
Right.
It kind of fell out of fashion to pray to both at the same time, around, as far as you can tell, 200 years prior. That it kind of became bad luck to pray to Alear at the same time as Paradoja, because that was wishing for your change to be death.
Right. That makes sense.
Beyond that, you would also find a variety of notes about how she isn't just, or they aren't just the god of change and transition. They are also the god of progression and growth in some belief systems. They are represented in nature by that same spiral. They are seen in a variety of fashions, and the belief system seems to be as changeable as the concept of Paradoja herself. It is still most common along the coast and the rivers because of the changeability of water, and at least in some of these older ones where Alear and Paradoja were worshipped together, it was typically a practice to pour water from a shell, which depicts that spiral, onto the altar of Alear. Is there specific things, because you've got an @20, that you were looking for information-wise, some sort of thing that would help, or that is your goal to find out?
I think I'm specifically looking for any potential mentions of Paradoja having either a herald or an envoy, or any indication of her potentially communicating with essentially the mortal realm, as far as like having a purpose goes. Essentially looking for
What's your job
or
supposed
the
to be?
previous me in this.
What's your job supposed to be?
Yeah.
You don't find it for Paradoja, but you do find it for Alear. And it's not someone that is named, but the general impression on these writings, which seem to be someone else observing the person as opposed to first-hand accounts, is that sometimes the gods work through mortals to affect the world. And it was believed that this person was working on the face of the world to protect them from the other side. And at that point, you don't know if it's the creepy forest or death.
Right.
Because of who it was for. Because these are translated, as far as you can tell, notes and mentions that are written into a new book. So it's like someone has taken someone's journal or notes from somewhere in history, translated them, and then added them to the book.
Yeah, I imagine
because
this
it is just that old of information.
Yeah, this is probably like somebody's notes on somebody's notes and somebody's notes, and from a translated book that was written by somebody who had notes of somebody else. I imagine.
Yeah, so you have gotten the impression from your previous adventures that magic rises and falls, And most likely, the information that you guys have access to at present is from during the period that either magic was waning or had already left. I mean, it is still hundreds of years worth of information, but
It's fucking old.
yeah, hundreds of
'cause
years worth of information. And in the oldest texts that you are brought, that they do watch you as you are reading them, there are hints to the language that the language was going through a shift at that time too. But it's all still, for the most part, readable.
Fascinating.
Hmm.
Do I get the impression that the language that this was originally written in is the same ancient language that I learned from Sybil's mom?
Ooh.
Entirely possible.
That gives me at least a smaller time frame, or makes it easier to narrow down how long ago this was, I guess.
Yeah. Because I believe that the language that you currently have, that you learned from Sybil's mom, is
Old Trutinian.
Third
Ooh.
Era. Yeah, so you have Third Era Trutinian as one of your languages. So it is entirely possible that this was originally written in Third Era and translated into Fourth Era Trutinian, but hard to say.
Yeah. Could you send me the writing of that death deity name?
Yes.
I don't know.
I will just put it into notes.
Yeah. Sweet.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
I will put all three of them into notes because those are the three that you've learned about so far.
Yep.
Lir,
Thank you.
God of the Night, Passage, and Death. Paradoha, deity of change, transition.
Curious to see how wrong I'm spelling all of these names in my
Yeah,
notes.
same.
That's why I didn't even try to write
I was
anything
just
down.
on vibes, figuring out
Void and
spellings.
dark.
Fascinating.
Of the earth and
This is all very interesting to me and my character. Alea.
Oh, I was close to LAR.
I didn't spell any of those right.
yeah, so let me actually change this because Childa is definitively masculine.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Fascinating. Uh-huh. Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yep.
Sybil would have loved this because Sybil is trained in doing research.
Yeah, the one person who's good at research poofed just before the research episode.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I have so many more things that I want to look into now, but
Yeah, same.
Yeah, you're just like, shit, I could get all these lore drops now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah,
I think-
so
I think though. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
in general, from doing this research, which I will say takes the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, easily.
You guys are there probably into evening. You get the general sense that while there are other deities out there that would occasionally be mentioned, those are the three that were most frequently mentioned and or worshipped in the area. You also get the general sense that belief in them has become significantly more cursory over time, which brings you, especially Bal, who has personal interaction with gods before, brings you to believe that something about that time between where magic wasn't strong or was sleeping is it prevents them from communicating in such a way that people view them as provable things. Like the time between, in a like meta thing, gods of the world seemed much more like religion and deities are seen in our world. And while there were and are still in Polyarna a lot of people that do have devout belief, it is not as provable, and so atheism became just as prominent because there was not a centralized religion that all of them went, this is the god that we continue to worship. You have a feeling that most likely, if these deities feel like paying attention, that since magic has woken now, other circumstances will arise that proves them once more.
Yeah, but that also means that if the day out, a bunch of bad shit is also waking up.
Yep.
Yeah.
This may be something that I do in between games, but Kale is also looking for books on magical creatures, monsters, specifically dragons, but like any kind of other thing that might be out there in legends of old.
Okay.
Smart.
Since you are spending so much time at the library doing research, I would like some personal interaction rolls for you to see what type of relationship and or assistance or tips you might be able to get from the various librarians.
Nice. I can do that.
Is that
I am good at reading
skill or
people,
all
so I'm
of us?
trained.
All of you.
Okay.
Nice.
Varen, remember that you are
social
hindered.
interactions. That is 2 down for me. 18. Kale's very good at this.
This had 12, but I am trained in pleasant social interactions.
Okay.
6, and I am not trained in pleasant social.
I believe that you are actually hindered, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I actually am specialized in unpleasant social interaction.
Yeah.
Great.
So they definitely are more, I wouldn't say cordial, but more willing to interact with Kale and Ball because of that. Kale especially. And you start to get the feeling that one of the librarians that came in on shift after you guys had already started kind of views you in that, like, oh, plant person, this person is special way that I had warned you about, in complete contrast to the shop owner.
Right.
And give me a perception check, Varen.
Okay.
Varen? Yeah.
Well,
you know what? Now I will use my nat 20.
Now you're going to use your nat 20.
Yeah.
You would hear them, like, you would see a couple of hand gestures that are not familiar to you, Varen, as they bend to, like, pick up some books by Kale and whisper to them. You may want to speak to the grandmother. I've heard that she's somewhere north and east of here. She might know about the other place. And then they scurry away with their books.
the grandmother.
Yeah.
And
you would hear all of that, Varen.
I would hear all that, and I am scribbling all of that down super fast.
Yeah.
I would like to imagine that once we're all done with research
Yeah.
Val would tell most of Kale everything.
Yeah. Bal, with your social interaction role, because they aren't able to help you as much as you had wanted and are looking for some older books, while that initial librarian had been kind of dismissive of, yeah, if you're looking for more information, you're gonna need to go to somewhere that specializes in it, which is not Polyerna. This one is like, I think that one of the owners of land, that something about it might be wheat, I'm not sure, in the far east of Peliona, I believe is a collector of antiquities and likes to collect old books. He can't read them, but we have had him pass through a couple of times and bid on books instead of letting them go here when they were of languages that we can not translate among the librarians that are present.
Well, I thank you very much. I'll make
And let me
sure.
get you a name, because I have it somewhere. Names, the bane of every GM's existence.
Oh, yes. Yes. Many a spreadsheet of names.
Let's see. Scrolling.
Fascinating. I have so many questions.
Tapal Pilko. I will also type that out in chat so that you can
Yes,
have it.
thank you.
Tapal
Please.
Pilko. Yeah, east. I have my cardinal directions correct. Okay. But yeah, so like suggests that to you. Most of our books are from this age and are going to be limited to ledgers of information. We don't do research here, but most of that is sent along to Isenbridge. But
Right.
I know that Master Pilko will have some sort of collection. Perhaps if you have something to offer or are able to befriend him in some fashion, he'd be able to provide you with something.
Well, I speak a couple of old languages, so I should be able to figure something out. Thank you. Really appreciate this.
Yeah.
This might be a little too much, but I'll make sure that I'll put in a good word with my deity for you.
Looks confused, but thank you. Doesn't understand why that would be important from you.
Yeah.
But just like thank you, and then like wanders off with the armful of books to reshelve them.
To him, I just was like, "Oh, God bless you." To me, it's like I am literally going to talk to a god and tell them to protect you.
Yeah, it's like you went to someone and like they helped you do research for your college paper, and you said, "I'll pray for you."
Yes. And they're like, okay, we're sure.
Okay, here's the professor to talk to. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
that equivalent. But yeah, you would theoretically actually be able to talk to Perdoja for this random research fellow that is in the library there. But yeah.
When we're alone for a moment and sort of like still in the middle of research, but kind of winding down, it's getting later. I'm sure you guys are getting hungry, even if Kale doesn't need to eat. Kale will sigh deeply and then take both Varen and Ball's hands and like give them a little squeeze. And just say, I want to apologize for my behavior earlier. I was particularly upset, and I should have been able to control myself better. But a lot of these instincts are very strong, and I'm not quite used to them yet.
What are you apologizing for? For being...
For being upset about Sybil's disappearance, and
I don't know if you're familiar with this skill, but people tend to be obsessed when other people disappear. That's kind of the normal thing.
Well, it keeps happening to me is the problem.
Oh, no.
And I worry about all of you all the time, constantly. And it's knowing that there's nothing I can do to protect her when what I do is protect those I love. It's very hard.
I'm gonna just give Kale a hug.
Oh. Kale hugs like a little bit and then like really fairly hard actually after a second.
Yeah. You get the feeling Val doesn't give these often because it's very awkward. Like it's not like there's not a lot of practice behind these this hug.
Pirates don't hug a lot, weirdly.
No, who would have thought?
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
We'll have like a little cry, like not like a big sob, but like just, you feel like a little wet on your shoulder.
Yeah, I think Val will just wait until Kale lets go and then just kind of giving a reassuring hug and then just be like, it's right, we'll figure it out. If all those fails, I can put in another attempt at far distant travel with the good old Big P.
I don't know that we need to involve the gods just yet, but
I think we have. I think they're involved already.
I don't like that, and I don't know. The thought of gods just gets my hackles up. I don't like it.
Yeah, I get it.
So, you guys resolve that concern. Still thinking about whether or not you want to involve an actual deity in trying to find your lost friend. Walking out of the library and back onto the beautifully cobbled streets of Polydrina, you can see that the rain has finally stopped, and with the clouds still covering, it's a gorgeous sunset. But do you wander back to the ship? Do you try to find an inn?
Sit back on ship. You gotta call Sybil's mom.
Shit. Yeah, let's go back to the ship.
Okay. So you go back to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And you settle in. There's no telling if you've gotten a call because you didn't have the thing with you.
Yeah,
we also have our personal assistants.
Yeah, the ship is also like basically empty. Like there's a skeleton crew of a skeleton crew on it right now.
Yeah.
So we have the whole thing for ourselves. But I guess I'll bite the bullet and fucking call Sybil's mom.
Do the responsible thing.
Okay. We will come to that at the start of next session since we're a little over already for the day. Thank you very much. Good
I have
job. Good research.
I have so many concerns about what you just told me.
What concerns?
Oh, I don't know. Just that suddenly there's a second deity involved in the history of the deity that I'm interacting
There's
with.
three. There's three going on. There's a whole
Oh
bunch of
yeah,
them.
that's true.
Well, there's one that's super commonly believed in and still like seen as worship all over the city state that you went to. Then there's yours that, is common all over, just not super like in depth with people. And then there's the god of the one thing that everyone experiences:
Taxes?
death. Like, there is no avoiding death. Death is everywhere. Death comes to all.
Death and taxes.
So
Yeah, but there's a lot about how the two of them used to be worshipped together in there, and I don't like that. And then there's the fucking other side, whatever that means. That's concerning.
That's not
is that death? Is that the forest?
sure sounds like a living forest that wants to eat people. So that's cool.
It
I
sounds
think we should go there.
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Well,
It sounds
we're
like
gonna
it's
have to
our
leave.
problem now.
We're gonna have to leave the city because we need to go north and go see the grandmother, and then we gotta go east and see your dude. And then we gotta go south to the forest.
I'll be honest with you. I think this is going to be our last time sleeping on the ship for a long time.
So I
Yeah.
think let's get
Did
everything
you
in order
take
and then
that
leave.
seed with you, or did you just leave it behind in the library?
I think we're gonna leave it. And we're gonna bring it with us.
Okay. So you've just got the
Uh,
seed still too.
Mm-hmm.
Hale's whole idea behind that was to try and research it without touching it or activating it. But probably not on board the ship, just in case we take a giant bite out of your ship. I think that best be avoided.
That would be the final mistake on the mistake, though. It would be poetic.
Yeah.
So are you going to leave it on the dock then, or are you taking it on board?
It is in its own pouch.
It is.
Let's just keep it. Just make sure that nobody touches it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just don't touch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Well-
I just realized that implies that there is either an animal or a person that was poofed into whatever those evil plants were from.
Somebody in the house, maybe.
Oh my God, some poor fucker just ended up in this very center of a grove of man-eating plants.
I
Sentient.
don't
man-eating
think they're
plants.
there anymore. I think they may have gotten eaten
Yeah.
immediately.
Mm-hmm. They're fucking dust now.
We know one dude already got eaten by that plant. And I have his money and a bottle of something.
Oh yeah. Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
A silver bottle.
Well, good job. You did some research. You scared a shopkeeper. You wandered around.
I had a bath.
Had a bath. You had a little bit of a mentee bee.
Breakdown.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Sure.
Yeah,
Cool,
just a
cool,
little
cool.
bit of a mud
Just a
bath
bit.
mental break.
You guys got to see a dragon lose its freaking mind
Just
for about 20 minutes.
just a
I'm sure it was terrifying.
I'm sure that was fun. Cause yeah, we love dragons freaking out and trying to dig their way through the ground to find their missing friends. But anyway,
Cool.
with the heavy lore drop session out of the way, let's go ahead and do our outros. For those of you watching on Twitch, don't forget to stick around. We will be rating Tino Tales afterwards.
Ooh,
Nice.
Bangles. Let's go.
Yeah, so let's
Woohoo.
start with our own Taino.
Oh, hi. I think that's me.
Yeah.
Hello. Well, I'm Joel. I play Bal. Normally you can find me here every other week playing Bal on this game. You can also technically find me every other Friday playing Senior Fluffington all over on Reflections. I won't be able to make it this week on account of being busy as balls. Um, it's I haven't had time to do anything else, so that's kind of everything for me. Um, but on the bright side, I'm doing so good. My boss is considering keeping me in the off season as well.
Nice.
So
Ooh.
exciting.
Very nice.
Very
But
cool.
yeah, that's me for now. Thank you.
Very cool. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, exciting.
Alina, our artist.
Oh, that's me. I'm Alina. I have been playing Kale. We're both they, them. You can find me online at alinapete.com, at alinapete on Blue Sky. You can also find me this Friday on Once Upon a Reflection, where I am playing an idiot rock star, ice elf, weirdo. Brack is great. I love playing Brack. Brack is such an idiot. And I'm sure not having Senior Fluffington around will mean that Thrak and Rosa are. It's just going to be a chaos episode again.
Well, very conveniently, Senor Fluffington did disappear through a reflection
That's true.
at the end of last session and
I think you
left
mean-
you guys behind.
I think you
We're
mean
gonna have to figure it out.
Juan.
Juan did disappear
Juan.
behind a reflection
Who's
last session.
Juan? Come watch. It's new.
You still won't find out next session because you guys are
Sorry, guys.
missing the player.
It's okay. We don't know where to find him anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, great job. Sorry, kind of interrupted your outro stuff, Alina.
Sorry.
So
That's
you,
cool.
yeah, because I'm just like, oh yeah,
I would shout out Trash Heroes. I don't think we've picked a day to play yet, but I think we're moving to Thursdays. So watch my Blue Sky for announcements about it.
Okay, cool.
Come join the Discord. Anyway.
Links in chat and description to follow
Yay.
our various players and support them. Amanda.
Hello, everyone. I am Amanda, and I've been Varen, both of us using she, her. You can find me most often on Blue Sky at Pandacabra, as well as the AEA Discord, which I'm sure there's a link in the description. Currently between jobs and going through it right now, but otherwise, I am also here every other Friday as part of Once Upon a Reflection, where I play Rosa and Thorn. Thorn being like an elven princess ranger who can talk to animals, and Rosa being a recently fired vet tech who is realizing that she's going through some burnout right now. So that is very relatable. Yeah, come say hi.
Yeah, Rosa's going through it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I guess I'm Evie, the Disaster GM. My pronouns are she, they, or any. I'm the game runner for both Empyrean Wilds and Once Upon a Reflection, where you can catch me only occasionally emotionally tormenting the players. Usually I'm pretty nice to them.
Oh, now we're lying?
But yeah, so catch Once Upon a Reflection, our fairy tale based TTRPG, on Friday, where we will unfortunately be missing Joel and dealing with the chaos that ensues with the other two. That group does not have a brain cell that they trade or that can leave them because none of them have brain cells. Occasionally Thorn tries. But yeah, all of them are no thoughts, just vibes. But this was fun. Loving this campaign. You can also find me on most Saturdays on Fusca's channel, where I am playing in her short series, Echoes of Ruin. We just revealed what we jokingly refer to as our side piece characters. So I am playing both Jatziri and Nero. But you get to see me being chaotic in two very different ways. I irritated someone into killing my character last night.
Amazing.
Yeah, he just irritated someone into just full on murdering him last night.
Good.
But yeah, life was good. Not anymore. But yeah, so
Oh yeah, it's a dinosaur, and then there's the meteor.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you guys next time. Stick around for the raid, and bye.